Hello, my name is Ralph Paglia, and I'm a catalyst with Reynolds Consulting Services. Today we're going to talk to you about two PowerPoint files that illustrate case studies that you've received in a CD along with this particular video CD. This first case study is we're going to be using the PowerPoint that's called TAS Case Study Number 1. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. In this particular TAS case study, we're going to take a look at a dealership in Seattle, Washington that in October of 2001 made the decision to switch from a Cobalt website to an Automark website. We're going to talk about what happened after that. First of all, when we first engaged with this particular dealership, they felt they were getting actually very good results from their website from a process standpoint because, as they described, we have a 20% closing ratio. So let's talk about what kind of numbers that yielded. In their Cobalt website, they were getting approximately 1,500 visitors per month visiting their website. Their Cobalt website was generating about a 1.7% interactivity rate for total leads coming off the old site of 25 leads per month. Out of those 25 leads per month, the dealer was able to convert about 40% of these leads into appointments to come into the dealership, so about 10 appointments per month on average. Out of those 10 appointments per month, they had a fairly good show ratio. They had 70% of their customers showing up for a total of 7 customers that actually showed up at the dealership. Once the customers got to the dealership, this particular store did a great job of converting them into a sale, and that yielded 5 deals per month from their old website. When we first started talking to this particular dealer, they were actually pretty happy with that because, as they pointed out, we have a 20% closing ratio. Now, with that said, let's talk about numbers. That 20% closing ratio is specific to the actual leads coming from the dealer's website. That did not include, and we're not at this point looking at, the leads from their third-party lead providers, which typically will close at a much lower closing ratio than customers that have actually gone to the dealer's own actual website. This is a pattern that we've seen all over the United States. So in this particular case study, we want to emphasize that we're looking at the numbers generated by the dealer's own website. At the end of the study, we'll talk to the numbers that came in from their third-party lead providers. So our first engagement with this dealership, once we got their Automark website was up and running, went live, is we went out to that area. We conducted 5 days of strategy and process workshops. Basically what this was the internet college that we actually brought to the state of Washington, and we had several dealers that came into that internet college. We spent 5 days working with them, going through the internet college, and the end result was, in this particular dealership's case, and you'll notice in your PowerPoint file, these particular best practices that start with number 1, market strategy, and finish with number 8, search engine strategy development. The ones that are in red are the best practices that were presented to the dealer that the dealer chose not to put into action. The fonts or the types that are shown in green, these are the best practices that this particular dealer chose to implement. So in this case, what we were able to get out of this workshop was the dealer to begin advertising their URL or their website address that went to their Automark website. We also were able to get them to start responding to their third-party leads with an email that included links directing the customer to visit their Automark dealership website. The third item that they did agree to put into action was a search engine strategy development, which they really didn't take that much action at this point, but they agreed that they wanted to go with that idea, and that set the stage for the in-dealership consulting that would come after the workshops. The end result of all this, though, before we actually get into the dealership, is they were able to grow their traffic from about 1,500 per month to 1,800 per month. And with that 1,800 per month, even with all the other numbers the same, they did pick up an extra deal. They noticed they were selling 6 cars per month off the website itself rather than 5. Now, the next phase is we actually went into the dealership itself, a catalyst, a TAS catalyst from Reynolds Consulting Services, and we delivered 4 days of in-dealership training and consulting at the actual dealership location. Now, during that time period, we really were involved up front with going through with the dealership's internet managers and really demonstrating and showing them and working with them shoulder to shoulder on how they could tweak their Automark website to really boost the interactivity. Some of the things that we really focused on were how to make the navigation throughout the site very intuitive, much easier for the customer coming in their particular area for their particular brand. We also went ahead and took some of the Toyota.com technology and showed the Internet Manager there how they could use the pit stop from Automark to frame that Toyota technology into that particular dealership's website so that customers had no reason to leave the dealership's website. Rather than encouraging the customer to go to the manufacturer's site or other third-party information provider sites, we went in and we built these various features into the Automark website so customers would not have to leave and go elsewhere on the internet. We really got involved with the used car vehicle photos and getting prices posted on their used car inventory. We worked with the used car manager. We developed a section on Kelley Blue Book trade-in evaluations, and here's where the consulting came in. The dealership had some attitudes and feelings about giving trade-in values before the customer brought the car in. We worked with the used car manager to help him see how we could actually quote reference prices on used cars based on the Kelley Blue Book list trade-in value so that the customer could have enough information to feel comfortable about coming into the dealership. We also framed in some of the Toyota technology, including the financing and the credit applications directly from the manufacturer into the Automark website, as well as the dealership's own credit application that goes directly into the dealership's internet department for processing by finance. We got very involved in this particular dealership with the forms. And what we're talking about the forms is in an Automark website, when you click to say that you're interested or when you click on the function that says contact us, a form appears that you ask the customer to fill out. Well, what we had found out after only several months of the Automark website being up and running is that the vast majority of customers that were opening these forms were leaving the form before they completed and submitted it. So we worked with the dealer to customize these forms, which would increase the submission rate or the completion rate of the form, giving us many more leads from the Automark website. We also got involved with pop-up window customization. The dealer had asked, can I put weekly specials or certain promotions or coupons on my Automark website? Yes, sir. And we sat down with their people and showed them how they could craft pop-up windows using the pit stop utility. We really got into some of, in this particular dealer's case, we really got into some of the customized features that you can build at the dealership level into your Automark website. By giving them the kind of training and consulting on site where we were working with their department managers, with their internet manager on how to actually use the pit stop functionality that lies behind the Automark website, we were able to get them excited, enthusiastic, stimulate their imagination. At this point, they were taking complete ownership of this particular website. It no longer was the Automark website, it became the dealership's website, and they took ownership, they took possession. That was after 5 days of college and 4 days of in-dealership. So let's take a look at the results. First of all, we grew their submission rate from a 1.7% to a 4%. Now, there may be many of you out there taking a look at this video saying, boy, those numbers are a lot different than what we've seen on TIP studies before. Well, this is the real deal. This is an actual dealership. Different dealership may get different results. The bottom line is we more than doubled the submission rate as a result of growing both the traffic to 2,500 visitors per month from 1,500, by growing the interactivity or the submission rate, completed forms submitted, from 1.7% to 4%, we went from having 25 leads per month from the dealership's website to 100 leads per month. Actually, in quite a few months, we went over 100, but we were averaging right around 100 leads per month off their website alone. As we all know, these leads normally will close at a higher closing ratio. But at this point in time, we had really focused on the interactivity of the website. So our appointment ratio really didn't change, but even at that 40% appointment ratio, we grew our appointments from 10 to 40, and at the same show ratio of 70%, we saw an average of about 28 customers per month actually showing up compared to 7 before, And at that same closing rate, 71%, we went from 5 internet sales with their Cobalt website to 20 internet sales with their Automark website in a fairly short, condensed period of time. Now at this point, this particular dealer was actually getting fairly excited and allowed us to continue our consulting engagement and actually get into some areas that we all know and love called process. So let's talk about that. We came back to the dealership for another 4 days of in-dealership training and consulting, and at this point we really focused on this process of getting appointments from the leads that were coming in off the website. We were still averaging about 100 leads per month, but some of the changes we made is we really took a look at the lead management tool that the dealer chose to use, and we really got involved with the process training on how to make use of that lead management tool, how to use the telephone, how to effectively communicate with the customers who are submitting these leads to try to grow that appointment ratio. We dealt with updating their autoresponder. We really put a lot of links into their autoresponder, directing customers to specific areas of the Automark website. We got involved with the personal response templates, where we really showed them how to use things like tables and illustrations to make their email responses going back to the customers not only come alive, but really stand out from the other dealers that the customers may be shopping from. We recommended two-way pagers, but as you'll see on the PowerPoint that's in red, they said, no, thank you, pass, but we appreciate you sharing these great ideas. We worked a lot with telephone. We actually developed some telephone scripts specific to that dealership, and then we worked with the dealership's employees, made the actual phone calls, worked shoulder to shoulder with them, getting customers to agree to schedule appointments. The end result of all this was we grew the appointment ratio from 40% to 45%. Now again, that may not sound like a big improvement, but let's take a look at what it did to the numbers. We now went to 45 appointments from 40 in the previous slide, compared to 10 back when they had the Cobalt website. And we had, at the same show ratio, 70% show ratio, now we had 32 customers on average coming in per month, and we were now bumping it up to about 23 units per month. Now at this point, I want to just pause and share this with you. During our initial meetings with the particular general manager of this store, his big number was 30 units a month total for the internet department. All the pay plans were based around bonuses for 30 units a month. Well, at this point, although this slide shows 23 units that were sold off the website, because of the third-party lead providers that they had signed up for from Reynolds and Reynolds, they had quite a few additional leads coming in from those sources. They were well over the 30 units per month. So at this point, we really had the mind share, we really had the buy-in of the general manager. We continued our engagement with the dealer. On our next visit at the dealership, we focused specifically on the confirmation call and confirmation email templates. You'll notice on your PowerPoint slide that the confirmation call, item number 1, when we get into the appointment show section, is in red. And that's because although the dealership had embraced the concept of calling the customer to confirm the appointments, it really wasn't getting done. It was just something that we couldn't really get traction with, but what we were able to do is put in a very strong email appointment confirmation. In this particular case, our appointment confirmation email had a map to the dealership, and we actually trained the internet managers to very quickly, takes literally less than 60 seconds, generate a custom map right off of their Automark website to the address that was submitted on the lead from the customer, so that the customer was being provided with door-to-door directions from where they lived to the dealership. Most of the time the customers knew exactly where the dealership was located, but what this demonstrated to the customer was that the internet manager was going above and beyond the normal call of duty. Also on our appointment confirmation, we contained links to the credit application with some text that said, if you'd like to streamline the buying process, once you come to the dealership, feel free to fill out this credit application so we can have documentation prepared prior to your arrival so that we can reduce the amount of time it takes when you get to the dealership. As we all know, customers really like to get in and get out quicker. Well, here's the end result. We were able to grow their appointment show ratio from an already good 70% to an 89% number. So now these 45 leads that we were getting each month off their Automark website alone were now coming in At 40 per month, or an 89% show ratio, they did a great job with that particular part of the process. With this increase in the amount of people showing up, we got an increase in the sales results. We were still closing, once they showed up at the dealership, approximately 71% of the customers that came in, but now we were at 28 units a month on average from the Automark website itself, or a 28% closing ratio on leads from the Automark website. Now in the next part, we really got into what was going on once the customers showed up. In addition to the numbers you see here, we also had similar growth in the numbers from the third-party lead providers that they had signed up for from Reynolds & Reynolds, and it just got to the point where our internet department staff was becoming overwhelmed. So we changed the process a little bit. Once the customers showed up at the dealership, we trained the internet managers on a process to really turn the customer over to a select group of salespeople that we also trained on how to work with the customers, give them the demonstration drive, bring them in. The numbers had already been quoted, streamlined sales process, but what it did is it allowed us to really grow the sales results in this particular dealership, despite the fact that the general manager would not let us hire any more internet managers. We were limited to 2 internet managers. But at this point, we were getting our 30 units per month from the dealership's website. We also were getting into that point where we're doing a great job of updating the promotions on the Automark website. We started transferring the F&I process, the after-sell and F&I. We started building sections of the Automark website that featured and promoted the items that were being offered in the finance and insurance department. We really worked on the pricing process so we could streamline how long it took to respond to the growth in leads, especially with the third-party lead provider sources just generating more leads. And then we really got involved with things like the welcome board we put up on the showroom floor. Now that we had the salespeople handling the customers after they showed up at the dealership, there was a need to have the customer's name on a welcome board, so when the customer would show up, we could make a nice, easy transition into TOing the customer over to the salesperson. So the end result was we were up to a 30% closing ratio where we had started off at 20. But more important than the closing ratio itself is we grew the dealer's sales volume, units sold from their website, from 5 units a month to 30 units per month. And those are real-world results, and those are the kind of results that put money in the dealer's bank account. So the overall results were, after 9 months of Automark and TAS consulting, we were able to go from 25 leads per month to 100 leads per month from the dealer's website, from 10 appointments a month to 45 appointments per month, from 7 people showing up per month to 40 people showing up per month, from 5 sales per month to 30 sales per month, and all of this was done with Automark website, TAS consulting, and third-party lead providers that were purchased through their Reynolds & Reynolds representative. In this particular case, one of the comments we also want to make is, in addition to the growth in sales from their Automark website, we actually grew the total internet sales to 70 units per month, where they had been a total, prior to our engagement, of 18 units a month. So we went from 18 sales per month to 70. The total store volume was 275 units per month. At the end of the study, when we first started working with this dealership, they were selling 225 to 250 per month. So not only did we grow the internet sales, but the dealership's total sales volume grew as well. The bottom line in this particular case study is the end result. We grew the sales volume, units sold from their dealership's website, by over 500%, a 500% increase in actual sales volume. We think that's pretty exciting. Overall, again, we'll repeat, they went from 18 sales total for the internet from all sources to over 70 sales per month total for all sources, and that's some very dramatic bottom line improvements that dealers can really get excited about. So with that said, in our next section, we're going to go take a look at case study number 2. Thank you for your time.